to This Week in Toku. I'm Buster.
And I'm Tim Shields.
And this week in Toku, we're going to discuss an engagement ring for the 10th anniversary, character-themed perfumes, and the Geats of Hell opening for the first time, even though Hell has nothing to do with this episode of Geats, but who cares? Geats is premiering, so that's yay! As you notice, Vac isn't here, and that's because he is sick. He can barely talk, so oops. Get well soon, Vac. He's actually still in the call. He's just monitoring and recording this, and he's still editing the episode. So if you complain about any of the visuals on the video podcast version of this, blame Vac still. Okay? Okay. Anyway, Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I just put out that cowboy video that's been, well received.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Just for the amount of prep work you put into it, just watching over 70 cowboy movies, I'm I've been trying to watch every Godzilla movie recently, and even then I'm just having a tough time trying to watch the second one right now, Raids Again, because my attention span is very erratic, I'd call it.
Intermittent, sure, yeah. No, I feel that for sure, especially with a lot of the Showa Godzilla movies. They kind of tend to drag until you get to the monsters, but yeah. I think once you get to the midpoint around the Gigan era, they get a lot more engaging in terms of...
I'm just scared because Raids Again is apparently one of the worst Godzilla movies, so I'm I love 1954, so I'm gonna be pissed at this.
Yeah, no, you got that. You've got the little kid fantasy one coming up. You've got Godzilla fights a giant crab. So have fun. Have fun with those.
Yeah. Legit, I do wanna...
Eventually it'll get a lot more fun.
Yeah. Just you gotta it was the growing pains. What do they want Godzilla to be? As for me, I've not been doing good, but hey, this... Honestly, I think this might be a very exciting week for Toku, that we're about to get into. But before we get into that, hey, subscribe to Modular Media if you so choose to like this podcast. We got this podcast, This Week in Toku, we're talking about Tokusatsu. We got the Modular Components, which is just kind of a shit show. We vibe. We got No Prize Podcast, where they talk about American comic books and other things slightly related to that. And yeah, it's a fun time. If you like podcasts, come over. All right, plugging done. Let's get into the news.
Quick, Vac in the chat is saying he tried watching Raids Against once and fell asleep 20 minutes in. I think we can all relate to that.
Well, I can't relate. I still haven't seen it.
Well, you will very shortly.
Yeah, or maybe in a week, whenever I decide. I'll watch it soon. Speaking of kaiju shenanigans, Ultraseven, which is one of the most popular Ultraman series, has revealed a 55th anniversary project. This is basically just a tease of tease. We'll get there's gonna be some merchandise, maybe a special here and there. Some are speculating a Shin Ultraseven, which I do think is possible, especially with the financial success of Shin Ultraman and the fact that after Ultraman comes Ultraseven. But yeah, and the key thing is that there's going to be 7 themes about this 55th anniversary. Understand Ultraseven. Watch Ultraseven. Own Ultraseven. Discover Ultraseven. Examine Ultraseven through modern art. Experience Ultraseven through sets and stories. And encounter Ultraseven through modern technology. This is basically just a tease that's hey, we're gonna do stuff because, well, Ultraseven's our golden child. One of our golden child. Tim, I know you're not as fond of the Showa Ultramans, but, what do you think of this?
It reminds me of the Kojima Productions logo.
Oh, yeah, totally, yeah, I'm looking at this right now. Yes, 1000%.
I think they took a little cue from Mr. Hideo, which is fine. Hideo Kojima, huge fan of Tokusatsu, I'm sure he's thrilled.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's very minimalist. I think it's sort of Art Deco. I dig it. I dig it very much. I like the profile. I like that it's not just a flat profile too. I like that there's a little angle to his back and everything.
Yeah.
That's hot. That would make
it's a really good logo. It's a really good logo, and I'm excited to see what comes out of this, because I've been watching a bit of Ultraseven recently, and even though I'm still early on, I'm not at the peak episodes that people say, I'm still relatively enjoying myself. So yeah,
it's good.
All right, on to other Ultraman news. Ultraman Decker DX Tera Phaser. Basically, hey, you know those mechs from Ultra 7? Not Ultra 7, from Ultraman Z? Like, all those little mechs that, like, the storage unit piloted? Well, the Decker crew are gonna get one, too.
This thing looks so sick, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it kind of, like, gives me Pacific Rim vibes.
Like
By no Pacific
Pacific
Rim is,
Rim
like,
if you have, like, a Guyver chest cannon.
yeah, like it looks like this is what like Uprising, like a proper, like if you were actually going to evolve the designs of the Pacific Rim for like a proper sequel, this is how it should look. But like, yeah, we don't have time to get into that whole debacle today. But yeah, it looks sick.
It's like,
I'm excited to see what it's gonna do. It's blue, so I like it.
this looks like if the Evil Within got a Transformers crossover.
Oh yeah, 1000%. I can definitely see that. Speaking of, no, actually, I'm terrible at transitions. We don't got Vac. I don't have Vac to like cushion me on transitions anymore. Oof. But the Ultraman Regulos spin-off series will be releasing on Ultraman Connection. We have a trailer that like that gives us a bit more teases, and there's gonna be a theme song as usual. It's basically just gonna be like this year's Ultra Galaxy fight, but this time more focused on one character. And we like and one character in his world instead of let's take a bunch of characters in the world and combine them together, you know? I do like the new designs they have. I really like the female Cosmo Beast fighter, Spicia? What's she called? Yeah, she's cute. Yeah, there's some cool like design work going on here. It looks very distinct, and I'm interested like how like if this like how it's gonna go. But like at the same time, that last Ultra Galaxy fight was kind of rough.
Yeah,
Like,
valid. I see Sakamoto is directing, so I'm excited to see somebody get thrown through a building.
yeah, I mean like Sakamoto's directed every Galaxy fight, so this makes sense. That he would
Yeah,
basically direct like a spin-off of Galaxy Fight.
yeah. I do like these new alien designs. I think that they're really neat. I like that they're all like wearing clothes and stuff. I think that that helps to make them like more identifiable at a glance.
Yeah.
It infirms a sense of like culture to them.
Yeah, because
Uh,
like they are martial artists is like the whole
Yeah, it
gimmick of
looks very
this.
much like they're styled off of, like, Shaolin monks. They look almost like a Ultra Sentai,
Yeah.
like Ultraman
Yeah.
Fire Rangers.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm interested in this, but don't want to say excited if that's the best word.
Yeah, I think that that's valid. Like, set the bar low, go in with low expectations, expect a big wrestling match, and if it turns out to be something that resonates with you, then that's great, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
I think that would fit.
on to the Kamen Rider news of things. I'm sad
Yeah!
Vic isn't here because he would be like losing his shit. We have the first few items for the Kamen Rider Wizard 10th anniversary project. And the first one is a Senchoku Seihou for SH Figuarts re-release of Kamen Rider Wizard's based form, Flame Style.
Yes, this is Kamen Rider Wizard's based form.
I knew I accidentally slipped spaced, and I was like,
No,
well,
you're
it
right.
is. I am right, but like I feel bad.
I have this figure. If you can get this figure, buy this figure. This is peak Kamen Rider Figuarts right now.
Yeah, and it's
Uh,
like gonna be improved because it's like the Sencheku Seihou, which is like a like they added a bit
this is
more
a
to it.
re-release of the previous Shinkocchou Seihou re-release, which was
Oh,
going for about $200. I
oh,
think I paid about
okay,
that
my
for mine,
bad.
but it was worth
I
it.
yeah.
This comes with a Wizard 10th anniversary base, which is again based. Six left hands, six right hands, four left hands, wired cloth attachment. The cape is amazing on this. Sword and
Yeah.
gun set, you got all that. It's effectively compatible with the old big Figuarts effects set for Wizard, if that's a concern for you. There are some parts where you're gonna have to finagle it a little bit with like pictures and stuff, but you can hide those with angles. For the
Yeah.
most part, it's gonna be an extra buy if you want to sort of bump that up. But yeah,
And
if you
it'll be
can get
coming out January of next year. So get yeah, like I hope the pre I don't think pre-orders are out yet, but I'll definitely look into pre-ordering this.
yeah, it's one you want to pick up if you like Kamen Rider.
Yeah. And speaking of Sentoku Seihou, we have a teaser for the upgrade form for Kamen Rider Wizard. One of the upgrade forms, Flame Dragon, which is basically the extra, like basically Flame Style Part 2. It's just like they
It's
tease the
basically
figure.
the same thing. It's got a gold crown on the helmet and a red coat, and I like it because I like fire dragons a lot. So
Yeah.
gonna see if I can find a state nearby me that like pays money for blood and see what I can work out. Uh,
Dang.
I gotta figure
Yeah.
something out for this one. Like I'm gonna have to sell something or something because I need to get this.
Yeah, and there'll be another announcement of relating to this figure on September 15th. So this is probably when we'll get the full solicitations for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolute accessory, whatever
like
else it's
what
gonna be.
actually it looks like because we just got a teaser.
Yeah, the silhouette. Oop.
And of course, Premium Bandai ain't they love the money, so of course we have 10th anniversary Wizard merch, which includes some rings and of course a Haruto cosplay. I want the jacket. I want the jacket.
I wish I could
Yeah.
get all of it.
Yeah. But it's like stupid
It all
expensive.
looks great. But like,
Yeah.
of course, I wouldn't fit into any of this. Like, I'm 6'9". This is just
Yeah.
not a thing that is accessible to me.
Yeah. And on the last of the Wizard stuff, we have an engagement ring for the 10th anniversary of Wizard, which honestly makes too much sense. I wonder how many people will actually succeed in proposing with this. I really want to know.
Well, there's only 20, I believe. This is a sweepstakes. So I think very, very few.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, and also the premium band. To circle back on the premium band, this is all just re-releases stuff of just stuff that was originally available during the original merch, the original Wizard line. So basically, just like, hey, if you missed out on like getting that because you just weren't into Kamen Rider at the time, go. Here's another chance.
Yes, it looks
Uh,
like it's all of the ring watches are getting re.
yeah.
And then God, I wish I could get that belt.
Yeah, but yeah, very exciting. I don't think we're gonna get a special like I love like a mini Toei Tokusatsu fan club or just like even just a cameo from Haruto, but like yeah, I think his story is well from done. I think we're fine. We like if he
Nice
wants to
thing
come
is
back for something,
we got that
sure.
Gaim crossover. We got that Gaim crossover, and I feel like it was just sort of retreading the same material. And then we got him and Doctor Pac-Man, and the whole thing was like he showed up and he went, "Oh, I'm a bad guy now, haha, Jk, got y'all." And then he rider kicked them, and I was like, I don't think they have anything else to do with Haruto.
Yeah, I really just feel like obligation. Like I feel like he would just be like cool to just like he just helping people. I feel like would be the best thing for him to do. Just like a quick like 5 minutes. He doesn't need to be
Well,
like
here's
a
my
center
thing. Let's
star.
follow up with Shunpei. Let's follow up with Beast, and then Haruto makes a
Yes.
cameo at some point in that. You know,
Yeah, like a Beast v Cinema. Oh, that would be
would
so
be
fun.
great.
Yeah. But unfortunately, we have to move on from Wizard and go into Revice. We already kind of touched on this last week, but we have the official like announcement for the V-CINEXT or V-Cinema, for Kamen Rider Revice, the post-series movie, which will be a Live and Demons movie. Two of the most talked about characters for Revice, and we know they're getting stamps and the movie will release on DVD in May 10th of 2023, and that's about it. We also have a neat visual. We don't know what their V-Cinema forms look like. Yeah.
I like the coloration. Like they do look like cool stamps. I don't understand why they're bigger than the other one, but I'm sure that'll be explained.
Yeah. Yeah, probably because they're like big, beefy upgrade stamps. Or like seeming upgrades. Also, back, on the last minute Revice, there's a Lovekov mini plush charm but you can pose with your SH Figuarts if you so choose to buy. It is $35 if you so choose. That's all I got. And oh, we got some refined details on Geats' cast up here, which is I'm not sure if we should go into it because we're gonna get into like kind of like what Geats is about, like later in the show. But quickly go over these descriptions. For Kamen Rider Tycoon wants world peace and to help others. Kamen Rider Buffa is determined to win by any means necessary. Kamen Rider Ginpei is a father fighting to save his sick child. Kamen Rider Mary is 45 years old and is an easily charmed man who is kind to girls. I hope that is played tastefully. Kamen Rider Dapon is a high school student who, after suffering an accident that leaves him unable to play basketball, begins to despise society. A Kamen Rider Shiroi is a young man who fights hard and devotes himself to saving lives. More on him when we get to the episode. Kamen Rider Geats is a mysterious yet confident young man who transforms after receiving the ability from the game navigator Surumi. His motivations remain unknown. I mean, I don't think he really... Kamen Rider Nago is gonna be a young celebrity influencer seeking to increase their fame. Alright, that is... I think that's all the descriptions.
Fiction.
Yeah, it also talks about, like... Yeah, we don't
Hey,
see
hold
all
up
these
real quick.
characters in... Yeah, you were saying?
There's a correction under that. Nago is not seeking fame. She's hoping to have her leave her fame behind.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Okay. My bad. Sorry, just going through those quick. Because we're gonna be like, well, this does cover characters we're not gonna see until next week. I just like we're gonna elaborate more and discuss more of these characters, half of these characters when we get to the actual episode discussion. Also, we got details on the monsters, which actually this was interesting because we didn't really get much elaboration on the monsters. They're called Jamato, and there's three kinds. There's kimono. There's a kimono Jamato, which is red, a boss Jamato, purple, and a thief Jamato, green. Groups of Jamato will appear in force to attack Kamen Riders who enter jam areas in the Desire Grand Prix. Basically, they're like
So
enemies.
funny. So they wear different clothes based on how tough they are.
Yeah, so like the red ones are the kimonos, basically just the grunts. The bosses are gonna be like, well, just monsters that'll be needing the finishers to take off, and the thieves are gonna be like, well, a bit mischievous and probably gonna steal the little. Like, this is probably how like a lot of the power ups are gonna be passed around, so we can see what each Kamen Rider looks like with all the magnums and little
Sure.
accessories. So yeah, and we also have some deluxe items for Kamen Rider Geats to talk about. We got the DX Zombie Breaker, which is Buffa's little chainsaw sword. The DX Spider Phone, which is basically like the thing that like they tally up the points for and can be transformed into a little bug. No, I'm glad it's not a phone bike. I think we've had enough phone bikes. So it's a Revolve Chain Series DX Boost Striker entry body. What does this look like? It's the bike. It's the
Yeah,
bike
that's
that
the half
transforms
audience
into...
bike.
Yeah, it transforms into a kitsune too. And we got like the mission box, the little loot box that you can like get like items from, and you can store your the gimmick items. This one will come with the Kamen Rider double little like accessory that you can use for your Desire Driver. And a Hanatai mission box, which will just be like a general storage thing. We saw these at the beginning of not the beginning, the end of Kamen Rider Revice.
Yeah, the
So
final
yeah,
episode. Yeah.
it's also how you get the blank body for the little kid figures. The bike specifically. Like if you want to get the blank body for like just to have like the entry forms for the Geats figures, that's how you get it. So
No,
it's
that's
a bit
with the bike.
yeah. That's of the bike, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, just again going a bit
You're
all
fine.
over the
You're
place.
fine.
But yeah, those are items you could buy right now. And speaking of items you could possibly buy, there's Grand GP Raise buckle sets, which are basically just these are like just more items to buy. And they will specifically the pre-orders are already closed on these, but these include Kamen Rider Live and Demons buckles, special little buckles for those characters. That if you want those, and this is why you read the news beforehand. Okay, I'm sorry, Silent Vac, that I'm not. Whatever. I probably should. Yeah, and also Kamen Rider Geats Choco campaign items. These are just
saying. I messaged you like 4 days ago saying, "Hey, check the news. There's a lot."
okay. Thanks.
Can I get some thoughts off on these?
Yeah, sure. Get thoughts off on the toys.
Okay.
I forgot to.
You're fine. It's your first time. We get it. Everybody's been there. So this buffa sword looks awesome. It vibrates, I guess, so that it simulates the action of a chainsaw. I think that that's a really neat and fun feature that we haven't really seen before in these melee weapons.
Yeah.
These boxes are fantastic. I think that those are going to be a storage device that like actually sells because you can just use them for themed storage.
Yeah.
I really like the bike. We're gonna get more into that later, but the spider phone having so many functions where you can also attach it to the driver, so it's more stuff that you do right at launch. Like I think that that's really smart. all of it's really great. Like, this whole toy line is really fantastic. And then the incorporation of these premium Bandai Revice, like Legend buckles, and like the W buckle that's really pricey if you're looking to get it. There's so many CSMs, and the DX is sort of like its own collectible. Like, it's a really smart approach to merchandise.
Yeah, it's a very clean toy line. I like it. Like the Desire Driver already had my interest, because it's just you could already do so much with it out of the box. But like the expansions they can get with it and the role play toys, it's very cool, very cool.
And it all feels very synergistic, feeds into itself, so you have an excuse to buy more.
Yeah, it's capitalism at its finest. But now that we covered all of the Geats toys, we have to talk about the last Kamen Rider news, which admittedly isn't as hype as Geats, but could
at the end.
because it's not Geats. I guess. All right, Kamen Rider Black Sun got its second trailer, and unfortunately, it has kind of confirmed a lot of unfortunate speculation about the show we've had for a year now. Yeah, the show's been announced for a year now. Yeah, it will be coming to Amazon Prime at the end of October. But if this is gonna be like released to all the world, I'm kind of concerned that this might be a terrible first impression of Kamen Rider. Because this first off, the good. This trailer is very well acted and directed. It's like nothing we see like in Kamen Rider before. Like you can tell, like they got like some different people, like filmmakers, to like kind of bring a new twist to it. However, the thing that this all revolves around is giving me some unsavory 01 flashbacks. And I like 01.
My thoughts, I'm going to keep this pretty concise. Toei is in a really bad position when it comes to race relations in their shows as an allegory. I think that the incorporation of like actual black civil rights iconography into spider monster guys is a very bold move, and they have to tread incredibly lightly, especially in the face of very recent controversies with Revice and 01. It's not the project I would have gone with to, lead the front on an international scale, especially given the zeitgeist of Toei right now, and that's like ignoring like the sex scandal and stuff. But I don't know. I think they have to play it very carefully, or this could blow up in their face. It almost feels intentional sometimes.
Yeah. And Vac's comment on all this is, it looks like Amazon Season 2.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Every time or like Fudo PI, where they're like, here's this anime, we're not going to call it Kamen Rider. We're not going to give you the original one. And it's like, you want America not to get into Kamen Rider?
I feel like Fudo PI was like,
I wonder if that's a thing.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's like maybe this is just an excuse saying, well, we tried, and then so they can never do it again.
Exactly, like Masked Rider.
Yeah. Well, Masked Rider was more of a Saban thing. It was less of a Toei thing. But anyway, my thoughts on the trailer. I'm kind of going into this like kind of as like a hate watch, like where I'm like, you know what, this might be trash, but I'm gonna have fun watching it.
The thing is, I'm willing to give it the chance. I don't have a lot of faith in the way that it's going, but it could surprise me.
Yeah, I want it to surprise me, but I doubt it. I doubt it.
Yeah, hope for the best, but expect the worst.
Yeah. That's kind of my motto of Black Sun.
Right.
And it's kind of sad because the suits, they looked so good, and now it's like, they're gonna be attached to a possible problematic storyline.
We'll figure it out when we get there,
Yeah, we got time. We got time. All right. You guys like Perfume and Super Sentai? Well, here's things that combine them together. We have a Shinken Red theme perfume that make you smell like the character, and also a Black Condor from Jetman theme perfume. You like perfume? I don't know. Maybe import this. I know nothing.
Jetman ones smell like whiskey and cigars.
Yeah, the Jetman. I mean, there was I forgot what, I think this was one of the web specials that they did to promote like Superhero Tyson, but they just had one where like Black Condor kept picking up chicks, just from like all over the franchise, and it's like, okay, and I guess this is supposed to like do what that special does. I don't know. I'm just confused.
Smell like a dead body.
Yeah. That good old cigar smell. I hate it ever. Whatever. Anyway, more
The
positive
Shinken
news
smells
that
like sweat
doesn't
this
weird me
time of
out.
year all the time, says Vac.
Oh, the Shinken drawer just smells sweat because Takaru trades all the time. Sorry, I got the Ninja Red and Shinken Red confused. Anyway, speaking of ninjas, the Kaku Ranger cast did a reunion, and it's pretty cool. It's just like a cast. They all got together, just did some posing, and I think it was like just because they're getting like for like a friend or like someone was born and like a baby was born and they're like, let's get it together, and it's like, that's pretty cool.
Good for them.
Yeah, I got nothing much to say. That's just cute. That's cute.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. As for the current Sentai, we have a tease for Gold Ton for actually not yet. We don't have. Well, we got the fall scans tease Don Momotaro's final form / upgrade. Which is like shows a little silhouette, but we actually have a leak of the toy upgrade here. Like on the article below it, and I like it a lot. The cape really sells it for me. What do you think, Tim?
I think it's really solid. You've got your 5 horns, you've got a lot of gold.
Yeah,
I think it's really solid. Everything
yeah.
about it basically just screams, what if Thouser, but there was red on it, which basically is my ideal when it comes to suit design. So
Also, they're like back at the scans. Apparently, Don Muramase's the Purple Ranger's sword is possessing some people. So that's going to be very interesting, especially because we don't really know much about Muramase yet.
we do
So
not.
yeah, because he kind of just like he's related to the Sibrarians. So it's like okay, like that's all we know. But yeah, I'm very excited to see this gold Modular. It's very simple for a Sentai upgrade these days. It's just a little basically armor on top of the suit, maybe some like additional on the legs, and then you got your classic Toei cape. So very. And speaking of Don Morimase, he has a plushie and it looks adorably violent. Yeah,
Horribly violet. It's very
violent. I meant not violent.
yeah,
But
I
yeah.
like it. It looks like your traditional Toei plush.
Yeah, that sure is a Toei plush, and I do
Yeah.
own a Kamen Rider O's and Build one. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, I've got a guy in Yaiba.
Yeah. All right. Because we're gonna skip through the Power Rangers news. Because it's basically just except for the last one, because the last one's kind of big. Way Studios MMPR Megazord statue revealed. That sure is an expensive Megazord statue with a lot of detail. I kind of like this. I kind of like this, but like we have so many Megazord toys. What you gonna do?
Yeah, I do like the battle damage a lot, but
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like, how many Megazords do you need?
And apparently it's like over $1,000 because it's a limited item. So okay.
How many Megazords could you get for $1,000?
Well, we'll figure out later. Well, I'll make that a video or something. Like, how many Megazords can you get for $1,000? I
Oh
don't know.
yeah, Dak is saying it's also really big. Like it could make for a really impressive centerpiece for like a display or something if wicked into like MMPR.
Yeah, or just
There's
Power Rangers
merits
in
to it.
general.
I have one that I got for like $25 that's like 3 feet tall. I tend to use that for my Sentai centers, but
I know. I got nothing to say. It's a thing. It's a statue. It's expensive. F off statue. Why not?
it lights
I
up. Like there are perks to it, but
Yeah. It would take up a whole coffee table. Apparently, the statue would take up a whole coffee table. Interesting. Again, like if you're wondering where I keep getting these notes, Vac keeps sending me notes of stuff I forget to miss. So, thank you, our Jesus Vac or Vac Jesus. I don't know.
I'm basically just being their producer tonight because if I talk for an extended period of time, my voice will go from sounding like this. Yeah, like that.
Okay, Jesus. Thanks. Anyway, we also have a Lightning Collection Dragon Zord shirt revealed. I mean, if you like the Dragon Zord and you want on a T-shirt, that's a pretty good T-shirt.
yeah,
I
I
don't
like
know.
this a lot more than the last one we looked at. This feels more like they made an actual piece of art for this instead of just slapping on like a piece of
Yeah.
fan art or something.
Yeah, it looks like I think they used the same artist as the Lightning Collection, or at least a very similar art style of like the Lightning Collection packages.
Like, there's
Uh,
no big logo, there's no, like, huge lightning bolt, everything is themed around the Zord.
yeah, okay.
There's the
Vac
enemy
has
list
confirmed
there.
it is Tom Whalen art, so that is who does the Lightning Collection boxes. So that
Yeah,
is
that's
pretty
it's a
cool.
very good art style. I think that's my favorite part about the Lightning's the box, honestly.
Yeah,
And I
which is
don't
kind of a
think
shame
it's
that's all
American,
kind
I
of
have to
like
say.
going
Like, it's
away
really good
because
art.
with the new like pa- packaging because of with plasticless packaging, a lot of the Tom Whalen art is being phased out. But like luckily they're still giving him jobs of like commissioning him to do shirts, so that's nice.
Yeah, that looks really good. I like that one. That's a big step in the right direction.
Yeah. And we have some teases for 2023 Lightning Collection figs as done by Lightning Fig PR, who has leaked a potential wave of new Lightning figures. Let me get into them. Lost Galaxy Pink, Dino Thunder Black, and SPD Yellow. Yeah, those are the ones. Those are the ones.
Yeah.
I thought there was a fourth one because usually Lightning Collection waves come in fours. But yeah, those are the ones, and this is actually really cool because a lot of them will complete teams. You will be able to get Lightning Collection figures of all of Dino Thunder by the end. I'm not sure about SPD, but I think having SPD Yellow would complete SPD. I think Lost Galaxy Pink would be close to completing Lost Galaxy. I think we're just missing Yellow from Lost Galaxy at that point. So yeah, good on Hasbro for actually committing to completing teams. Yeah. We still need Cat and Nova for SPD. Well, those are extra Rangers. You'll be able to get the core team at the very least. So, I still think we should have Cat and Nova for SPD to just like have all of the SPD Rangers. All right. And then we get into possibly the most interesting article of the Power Rangers section of this news. Simon Bennett, who produces and executive rights and does all the things relating to Power Rangers, Dino Fury, and upcoming Cosmic Fury. I think we already have Blue for Lost Galaxy, but I'm probably wrong. Oh yeah, Blue and Yellow for Lost Galaxy. Anyway, he has confronted the leaks. Because here's the thing: so Power Rangers airs early in Canada, but fans will take those Canadian airings or like other country airings and share them with the US fans. And Simon Bennett has confronted these accounts who, which is basically mean, like, this is like the first time I think a Power Rangers executive, or like, I mean, there's always been a crackdown on leaks, but like, openly stating, hey, don't do this, instead of just being a silently, don't do this. Um, to read the tweet, this kind of sharing is a form of piracy. It affects viewership of the legitimate program, which makes it less financially viable, which can ultimately affect the show's future. Please don't share. Alright, Tim, what you gonna do? Not what you gonna do. Why do I... What you gotta say? What you gotta say about this?
I can understand where he's coming from. He's an artist, he's creating art. It's not his fault ultimately that these airings are being staggered. But unfortunately, when you create inaccessibility for the sake of manufacturing, whatever profits, release dates, whatever reason behind it is, people are going to find workarounds around that. That's why we've started getting international same day game release. That's why we get international simulcasts of anime. And like, I don't think it would be that hard for that to happen for Power Rangers. I do think that it's probably Netflix getting in the way of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that puts him in a hard position because he's caught between wanting the fan base to enjoy his art and wanting that art to be profitable for this mega corporation that is infamous for shutting down projects that aren't financially viable, as he says in this, I don't know. I feel for him. I would have stayed silent. Like, my stance as a creator is people are going to pirate your material, but if your material resonates with people, you'll make that money back through merchandise, through people buying it out of guilt afterwards, through people wanting a hard copy just in case. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really a judgment call to make. I don't befault the guy for making the call. I think that he was very civil about it.
Yeah, he wasn't
And
like being pissy about it. He was very civil. Okay,
yeah,
Vac
and like,
is
he does have,
noting.
like, I'm not
Yeah.
going to say that he's coming at this just to be a dick. Vac says it should also be noted that this sharing of early international airings has been a thing since Megaforce, and this is the first time he's commented on it. So it's entirely possible that it's a legacy problem from the Saban days, and he's just annoyed about it.
Yeah, that is very
Very
possible.
valid.
Especially
Again,
because this is the
I
first
can't really
Netflix.
comment any further on it without knowing the behind the scenes, and
Yeah, which Power Rangers is already a pretty like we barely know the behind the scenes of of its like modern production. We know some parts, but not as much as I'd like. It's not as transparent, which makes sense. Megacorp and all. So yeah, I just find it like interesting that he like comments on the leaks. Now now the episode. So basically, this also confirms Dino Fury is now leaking out the second half of season 2. And so, we're gonna wait. Me and Vac are gonna wait till it comes on Netflix to cover the episodes. We're probably gonna do the thing where it's like 3 episodes every week instead of the whole season. We'll work it out. We'll work it out. We'll work it out. We'll work it out. But the last piece of news is neither Power Rangers nor Kamen Rider nor Ultraman related. Oh, it kind of is Ultraman related because it's a kaiju thing. But a Kaiju Christmas children's book has been announced. This is a Kickstarter for a Kaiju-themed children's book inspired by The Nightmare Before Christmas. And it is currently, the Kickstarter opens today, actually. They're looking for $5,000 for 200 print copies of a Kaiju Christmas. So, if you want to support the Kickstarter, there's this really cool promo art with like a Mecha Santa fighting a snowman kaiju. So, I'd support this if I was feeling like I don't really do Kickstarters, but I encourage those who do to support it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cute. I'm not really familiar with the author, so I would want to look further before.
Yeah, good point.
Investment, but
yeah, it is going to be written by Samuel Hain with illustrations by John Schward. So
yes,
those are
Samuel Hain. I'm on. The art looks fine.
yeah.
It
looks like a cute passion project.
Kids, I would say maybe go for it.
Yeah, it's a cute passion project, I think. So that's pretty cool. And I think that's all the news that's fit to print. So I'll take us on to the new releases because I usually do the new releases, but I already had to do the news because Vac's not here. Alright, let's start off with Ultraman Decker, Episode 8, Light to Darkness, again! What did you think, Tim, since you're the big trigger guy? Since this is the conclusion to the trigger.
I feel like it was more of what we got last episode, which is great. That's what I've been asking for. I mean, it was just very enjoyable for me. I just like hanging out with Kenga. It makes me happy and I feel warm.
Yeah, it's fair. I like this This is probably one of the best Ultraman crossovers they've done. If only because it doesn't just do like the first character. Like it's not just the main Ultra host. It's the sidecast. They bring in like important members of the sidecast to like expand on them and make sure they get the development they need, which is I think really cool. Like the like aftermath development they need. And also I love how it expands on Kanata. Now I know you guys aren't as fond of Kanata. I freaking love this guy. Because he like I can relate to him a lot with him being like hot blooded and like I love hot blooded protagonists of just him like being motivated. And like him just being like how do I describe it? Like he got the spirit, he just doesn't know where to direct it, and this episode kind of confronts that, and I think that's really interesting to do with a character. So yeah. And like as Vex says, Kanata is a good boy, he just got ways to go, and this episode was kind of about that.
That's what I was saying. My biggest issue with him early on was that it felt like he was pushing ahead and didn't really have an end goal in sight. So it's nice to see that with the introduction of Kengo came that sort of self-criticism of like, hey, what even does it mean to be an Ultraman? Which is what I loved so much about Rube. So I was disappointed for the first like 6 episodes not really getting that introspection, and it's really, really nice to not only that finally coming back into play in this guy's next work, but also it being the result of Kengo.
Yeah. And just like basically, well, if you're a fan of Trigger, you're gonna be satisfied. We get Kamara, like Kamara's basically redeemed also, like so if you like her, then yeah, that'll be fun. Like if you just like Trigger, you'll like this, and if you like Decker, like I know you guys have been kind of okay on Decker. I've been really liking Decker, and I really like this, and it just it's a really fun crossover that concludes Trigger's story while opening new doors for Decker's story.
I will say I like Decker more these past 2 episodes. I'm coming around to.
Yeah, and I already the first episode kind of like hooked me, but like now it's like I feel like now it's like expanding on that potential of the first few episodes. Because like I'll admit, like a couple of the episodes before this crossover were a bit like, yeah, they're cute, but like we kind of need to like step it up a bit, and this was definitely the step up the show needed.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Oh god, I really should have brought water because my voice is already killing me. Um. But anyway, now we go on to the big boy, superhero time. This is okay. A little like to hype you up. This is probably my favorite week of superhero time in a bit. So I'm very excited to talk about this.
Fucking banger.
Yeah, Kamen Rider Geats, episode 1, Daybreak F, the invitation to become a writer. Whoa, this was a crazy episode.
I like that it's called Daybreak, like the city from 01.
Okay, that's yeah.
What if
But
this is all happening in the city from 01 and
I
all of
mean,
this secret? He actually is Guy's kid.
we have another Get Up special to go, so
I'm
which is
saying
probably gonna have Geats. So, I don't want to. I can neither confirm nor deny is what I'm gonna say.
the next Genin special.
Yeah. That will reveal all. But yeah, this was a probably the most thematically dense writer premiere in a bit, in my opinion, because like the 01 Saber and like Revice premieres, they're pretty fun, but like you kind of they plant the seeds for future. This one's kind of already getting into it while planting the seeds for future developments, I'd say. And like not to
This is the best written Kamen Rider pilot I think that we've gotten since Wizard, and I'm not just saying that because I have a video about that coming up, but like the pacing of this never felt too fast, but it felt like I was watching an hour-long prayer, you know? It was just so densely packed that every couple of minutes I had to sit there and pause and like take the screenshots and process my thoughts about it. Like it was so well written, I thought.
Yeah, this was like let's get into it. So,
Yeah.
basically, this entire episode is kind of the end of What Desire Grand Prix,
Right.
and yeah, so basically we have three people left. Ace, I forgot Buffa's name, but Buffa and Shiro. And basically, they're the three people left of their like old Desire Grand Prix. And this basically episode is basically we see from the perspective of civilians, who's going to become Tycoon and Neon. We see from those two guys that like basically what the final battle was, which is like why they became participants in the next Grand Prix. And whoa, that like this what an introduction to these guys. Well, first up, let's get into Shiro because we don't really have much to say on him because he gets scissors already. He already got scissored in the first episode.
Oh, it took Hana like what, like 40 episodes?
No, scissors like he died. Shiro.
Yeah.
Like I'm referring to like No San, the guy because No San he played Kyoryu Blue. Sorry, I'm going all over the place. Okay. I'm dumb. I'm dumb. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that Shiro was really interesting because he seemed really upset when Buffa called him out for pretending to be better than he was.
Yeah.
Love Buffa, love him.
Yeah. Yeah,
Lost on
he's
screen
really
all the
gonna set up some interesting rivalry later on. I feel like because he's kind of a bit cynical, and like it might be, and like that might be because like we see at the end of the episode, like when like spoilers, Geats wins the Grand Prix. His memory might have been like he doesn't remember until he becomes a rider. So he's kind of been through like so many Grand Prix. Which is, it's an interesting like thing they're doing with this Grand Prix because I'm sorry to skip to the ending, but it seems like every time a Grand Prix happens, the world is reset because it's the winner's ideal world.
Okay, so check this out. So I was saying before this episode came out, Takahashi said that he wanted to have a complete character, right? And I was like, what does that mean in the context of Battle Royale? And the first thing that came to mind was the character Shogo Kawada, who had previously won a Battle Royale game, but basically got himself inserted, or like was transferred to another school that became the next game candidate or whatever. And all the
Yeah,
kids get sent to the island to kill each other. And his whole mission is subverting the concept of the game by making sure that more than one person gets off of the island alive. And there's a lot, I think, of parallels in how Ace is sort of recreating the game for a second time to make another pass. and I'm really curious as to what his ultimate ambition is.
Yeah, it's very interesting because he basically Geats already won. So what does he have to gain from all of this? You know. So what does he have to gain from all of this? You know.
Well,
It's very
that's what I
interesting.
was saying was, like, is it an autism thing? Is it like this
Yeah.
is how he enjoys viewing the world? Is it a Dan Carotto, a guy thing where he's making the world into an MMORPG or chess because that makes the disorder of everything like approachable to him?
Yeah, I do think that is a very much a possibility where it's like he enjoys the repetition. He needs that kind of that fall
That social
blanket.
structure of rule set.
Yeah, which I do think is very much possible. Like we already have this, and it's like, well, how does that affect other people? Like what happens when others get in the way of or are hurt by his structure? It's like, you
And that's
know?
what I think is interesting because he's giving everybody Guy and Haruto vibes, but our backup boy Tycoon is giving me major Aruto vibes in that he's
Yeah.
very innocent to the point where he doesn't really know how to approach the concept of justice. You know, we get that scene where his teacher is like, or yeah, I think his teacher is like, what do you want out of life? And he's like, I want world peace. And he's like, what does that mean? And he's like,
Yeah.
you know, like he doesn't actually have any practical application for his idealism.
Yeah, and actually, Vac has pointed out some people are theorizing that Geats has already won a ton of Grand Prix already, but he's using each prize to try out different lives. Like we see him in different clothes at the beginning of each episode. Like now he's kind of a rich guy at the end of this episode, but before he was kind of like a wanderer in the snow, which
It's
is
very possible, and that's another repetition of Takahashi's themes. Like, look at Guy's position of anybody can be a president, or
yeah.
Aruto becoming a CEO. You know,
Yeah, it's very there's so much we can there's so much they could do.
job interview. Okay, that's what I was. I paused for a second. I was going to say if he was at his job interview or at a school, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but either way,
yeah. Point
like
stands.
the Ace is presenting a lot of interesting possibilities for where his character could go in the future, and I
Yeah,
think
and
that's
I
really
can't really
exciting.
predict where it's going to go, and that's what I think is really interesting.
Yeah, and it's just it just whoa how it's basically it feels like we have a reactive character. Like a reactive main character, which is super. We haven't had that in a bit. Of course,
This is
main characters react.
proactive.
Yeah,
Like reactive
proactive.
would be like the Justice League or like Revice showing up to problems that are
Yeah,
currently
okay, I
ongoing.
might
This
have
is a
confused the
person
terms.
who is taking control of the world.
Yeah,
And
but
I think it's sort of like a grand experiment to see like what other I don't know. I don't know. I
yeah,
have no idea where it's going and I'm very excited. I like his bike a lot. I
yeah.
like the rider kick so much.
Oh yeah,
It
that was pretty
again,
good.
everything about it just feels like Guy got melded with Haruto and Tycoon is going to be like an Aruto archetype,
Yeah,
but he already feels like he's done in a more innocent way rather than
yeah.
deconstructionist way, and I am so excited to see how those
Well,
two play out.
the way Ace and Tycoon remind me of, it's Kabuto and Gatact from Kamen
Yeah,
Rider Kabuto, which I'm not sure if you've seen Kabuto. I'll talk about it later in the show because they started watching
I've
it. But
seen the dub of Kabuto. Yes,
yes, yeah, I watched a bit of it too. I mostly watched the sub, but it that dynamic is very much like, oh, you kind of gotta step up to me. I'm kind of I'm kind of already perfect, but how do I succeed him? Oh, I don't become perfect. I become the best version of myself. And that's where I think it's going. But who knows?
that's
They
Guy
could,
and Naruto.
yeah. Well, it's a common trope throughout Rider. It seems about
Exactly. Yeah,
rivalry.
I think the Takahashi one just comes to me because it's by Takahashi.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, no,
fair.
the Kabuto and Tendo one I think is perfectly valid. We see this in Wizard as well with Haruto and Nito.
Yeah. Just it really just and it just feels, man, the action also very very. I didn't know the Gitsu can do the little have little arm cannons to shoot
Oh god, yeah,
out.
and like the way he used it to boost through the castle, and
Yeah.
like he's already talking about anti-imperialism rhetoric. Like that's hype for me.
Yeah.
And
They're
like
just
the way he can wall cling like Strider Hiryu.
yeah. It's
And his transformation is Mega Man X capsules. Like, oh my god, this show was written for me.
Yeah, it's very like just some like it's both visually stimulating and thematically stimulating so far. I really hope it keeps it up because we could have a very creative season of Rider on our hands.
Like the
Be-
subtle characterization. I could go on for days. Let's just cut it.
yeah. Yeah, also, one note, the Tom Constantine's character, John, he's basically just one of, like, half of Mr. Black and Mr. White from Johnny Test in this show.
Yeah, I've been seeing that going around.
Yeah, I wonder if Vac will kill me for that reference, but let's not worry about that. Let's worry about other
Well, for a
depressing
minute, I want to
things.
say it's Agent J and Agent K from Men in Black.
Oh yeah, yeah, that too. But yeah, yeah, people were also making Men in Black comparisons. But yeah,
Yeah.
Geats really good start, like surprisingly
It's
so
good.
for me.
Like
Like I knew it was gonna be
excited
good.
for a new Rider since like Saber.
Yeah, although
But
I'm
like I'm
pissed
biased.
because
That one was also written for me.
yeah, a Saber took a while for me to get hooked, but I did end up loving it. But like, it took a while for that. But this is kind of like already off to a blazing start. So
Yeah, it's fantastic.
yeah, and also I'm pissed because they haven't released a full version of the theme song, but the snippet we get at the end is like, oh, I like this.
Yeah, it's
You know?
very fire. It's very
Yeah.
unusual. It's
Yeah,
different from what I was
yeah, it's
expecting.
called Trust Last, which I'm like, oh, how will this play into the show? Like, yeah, yeah, but like, oh, we don't we still have a banger episode of Don Brothers to talk about because we have
God,
Avatar
oh my
Sentai Don
God.
Brothers episode 27 on the verge of a duel, which technically starts Don Brothers season 2 if we wanna like play with the joke that the season 1 ended last week, but whatever. You talk, Tim. My voice is dry.
This was an absolutely fantastic episode. I was saying on Twitter when I was watching it right before this, A, that I had to go like take 10 minutes to cry afterwards, but B, also this really just elevated Sentai to like art house cinema. But like it keeps it accessible. It's genuinely, I think, the ascension of the franchise that we've been waiting for.
Yeah,
I have officially moved Gokaiger down to number 2 in my ranking, and the season is not even done. Like
yeah.
the cinematography in this one, I posted those shots of those where Sonoe and Momoi are talking after they banded each other up, and it's just like this is shit that you eat like Tartovsky's, you know? Like
Yeah,
it's
they're going hard with this show, and like they kind of
and
need to, but like it's still appreciated.
And like the murder suicide romance of like the queer relationship and like not being able to exist in society and like how that builds into the chaos of everybody showing up and like getting into
Yeah,
that huge fight around them and they're having
yeah.
to fight
Ultimate
through it
showdown
while
of
the
Ultimate
girls just have
Destiny.
a moment to each other. Like it's so romantic in both the genre sense with a capital R and in the romantic
Yeah,
the relationship sense. Like
yeah.
it's transcendental. And like the way that they use the music, their shared theme
Oh,
song, and they
at
cut
the
it out.
end. Oh, okay. I don't want to like before we get to that. I want to cover my thoughts. Oh
Yes,
my,
sorry.
like this show does not miss. They don't miss, baby. They don't miss. As my catchphrase for whatever we cover the show is. But yeah, yeah, as you mentioned, the cinematography, like the character building between like we already have this like very great relationship established between Taro and Sonoe, and this just like elevates it even further, and even just like the little background details of just like everyone kind of getting into a fight is kind of hilarious and like just kind of in
Those,
that Don Brothers chaos way.
those little
Um,
moments between Momoi and Sonoe are always perfect. Like they are so
yeah.
subtle and they are so nuanced and they say so much with so little. Like it is perfection.
Yeah, and that just leads up to the like the banger ending of like this is like the first time I was like in a Sentai episode in a bit where I was like kind of like jumping out of my seat going like, is this real? Like
Yeah, again, I had to take 10 minutes after the episode, and like then Murasame walks up and takes Sonoe's body,
yeah,
and you're like,
that's
"Oh,
the
is he
moment
going
where
to
I was like, oh,
see
this is yeah, this show is something special. And I'm like, I was a bit worried like at the beginning because I was in love with the show like from minute one. I was a bit worried I was overhyping it. No, I did not overhype this. This show is amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
It,
it's Sentai, so you always have that fear that there's going to be like a 10 arc lull, but even the filler that they were admittedly treading water in, they made sure that each one of those was a banger standalone story.
yeah, and it just the characters are very likable, and some people are saying, well, the characters are like a bit cynical, and I'm like, I don't think that's exactly why they work. I think it's like the chaos factor but it's like kind of pumping it up to like kind of an exaggerated, like exaggerated chaotic like level of Sentai archetypes, but also like still keeping them somewhat grounded through their relationships, I think.
I think that they're all very neurotic, but in very complementary ways, and that's what keeps them all going. So if you
Yeah.
remove an element of that, like Momoi, and replace it with something like Goku, then it doesn't click anymore. And like that's something that the series was willing to explore, you know?
Yeah, and the ending of like the little, and like when they play, we already had this theme song. We didn't know if it was gonna be in the show, but we already had like a shared theme song like released, and it was a banger. But like the way they use it in the show of just like this like dramatic sword, like basically samurai-esque sword duel on the bridge, and it's like Sonoy loses, and the way the music just and the way it cuts out at the sword slash, Sonoy falls, and then the music swells up as like it gets into like the meat of it, and and then Murasame comes in, basically doing the Kamen Rider Black Walk. Oh my god. So
That's what I'm saying. It's the employment of romantic Chanbara tropes in order to emphasize the romance of the relationship between Tomoe and Sonoi. Like
yeah.
it's just so masterful.
Yeah, there's no heterosexual explanation for these guys.
It really isn't. Like Inoue has straight up said that.
Yeah, it's very good. And it's legit. Like the show, the way like we're probably gonna get like a slight breather next week. We kind of need to introduce the Combiner mecha from what it seems, but like still, I'm just super excited for like what's gonna happen next, and like how is this story gonna play out? What's Murasame's deal? And it's
Well,
just
again, that's my thing. Is we see him taking Sonoi's body at the end. Is he going to possess Sonoi from now on?
yeah. Oh, that will break Taro's
Is
heart.
Murasame going to be that mech that we get that?
Yeah, there's just so many ways this show can go, and it's like, man, this is so good. It's one of those shows you kind of like. It may seem like, oh, this is just Toku in general. You kind of gotta watch it to like fully understand why we feel these ways.
Yeah, like I had held off for the show for like 25 episodes and played catch up. I knew that it was going to be special. Like I pre-ordered the Figuarts of Don Momotaro knowing that I would love him. I was not prepared. I was not prepared for this to be one of the best like rider tier written, never mind Super Sentai.
Yeah, this is like, I love Zenkaiger and I love like stuff like Q Ranger and Go Busters, but like, whoa, this is like on another level. This even blows Jetman out of the water, which is my favorite Sentai. So
Yeah, like I think Q Ranger is wonderful. Like I love Q Ranger. I have so many of the toys. I've put the money in. Okay, trust me, I love it. But like I always say, it's incredibly aspirational. I think that there are some moments where it falls short of that, and that's fine. I will take an aspirational season, a season that tries to do a lot over a season that plays it safe. But like this one does both. It just nails it. It just nails every single risk that it takes.
yeah, and I don't think we're ever gonna get a series like this ever again. And if we do, I'll color be surprised. You know?
I don't know. I mean, did you see the first episode of Geats?
Oh no, I'm talking about in Sentai, but like Geats maybe.
Yeah.
Geats. Oh my god, if Geats ends up as good as Dawn Brothers, we probably like this will probably be one of the best superhero time lineups of all time. It's just
Well, my big hope is that the success of Dawn Brothers will push Super Sentai to try more experimental.
yeah. I hope they don't rest on their laurels and saying, well, we're saved, so let's go back to traditional. But like I don't mind traditional, but like I still want them to experiment with tradition. Like what
Exactly,
Dawn
and the
Brothers is
toy
doing.
lines. Like we're seeing the incorporation of the Zenkaiger toy line. We're seeing the incorporation of what was the other thing? Yeah,
Like more
so
bigger mechs and like
relation of
more agile. Like Dono Nitajin being a way more agile mech, and it's still like a high. It's actually still in the top 10 selling boys' toys, along with
Right.
the sequel mech, or the Six
Getting all
Ranger mech.
the parts for it and stuff instead of like a ton of new Zords they need, you know?
Yeah, and it's like I actually just man, it's so more articulation. Vac says it's agile. But yeah, what probably one of the best weeks for like all three Toku in a bit, you know? It just all three
Genuinely,
just
this was the Triforce week for the year, if nothing
yeah.
else.
Yeah, this is like man, and I kind of needed this because this week has been garbage for me. But so it's like it's nice to like kind of like my favorite franchises are pulling out like some experimental but very interesting stuff.
Yeah, I mean
And
that's the
I
point,
agree,
these
Buster, and
Kamen
I'm
Riders
sad I
present
can't say more than they are good.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's ultimately what these shows exist for. Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, Ultraman are all supposed to be there as friends that you can rely on when you've had a shit.
yeah. Just
Ultraman are all supposed to be there as friends that you can rely on when you've had a shit.
yeah. Just
So it's nice to
man.
see them all just slam dunk.
Yeah, it's been a really fascinating year for all three big Toku. I wish we got a
Yeah,
bit more indie stuff though. Dog Edgers is great, but like a bit more than Dog Edgers. I don't know. Maybe we're just not looking hard enough. Because
yeah.
last
There's
year had a
definitely
bit.
always more Toku going on.
Yeah, it's just like last year we got a bunch of indie stuff subbed, but
Yeah.
we couldn't find it. Anyway, let's move on to old stuff and toys. Tim, did you watch any old stuff?
I did watch some old stuff, mostly westerns. I rewatched There Will Be Blood.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
my
But
favorite
more
Toku.
importantly, my Figuarts Revi and Vice came in today
Ooh,
on
I've
holiday.
not purchased these figure arts of the Revi and Vice, so what's your review on them? When do you recommend them?
I suppose I'm gonna make a stop motion sketch about this later. I feel like the Revi one is probably the most underwhelming Figuarts main rider release that we've ever seen. He comes with like 4 extra sets of hands. Period.
Yeah, that's why I was like a bit disappointed. I was like, you have to get Vice only has the weapon. That's a bit scummy.
Vice has both weapons and an extra Vice stamp and the same amount of hands. Like, it's just embarrassing.
Yeah, it's
But I think ultimately, as a 2 pack, I got them for a significantly reduced price because I paid MSRP and the yen is like 20% weak in the dollar. I think for the base price, they're worth it if you're looking for figure arts for Revis, but Revice, sorry.
it's fine. I like when you say Revis.
But I don't know. Like I feel like the proportions on Revi are off because he always seems so jacked on the show, but the slim figure, like he seems thinner than Toma to me.
Yeah, that
And
that
like I always relate him to Shun from Forza, so I always expect him to be a bulky boy. I don't know, it's weird. Like Vice is thicker than.
that's odd.
It seems a little off.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Like they're the standard that you would expect from modern figure arts. The detailing's amazing. The articulate is amazing. The elbows have a little issue. Like the armor is very chunky. The double articulate say like a decade. But that's to be expected, I suppose. So yeah. At the end of the day, if you like Revice, yeah, I would say go for it. Still going for very cheap. You can find them
yeah.
on Mondor
Get them all you
auction.
can. Cause get them all you can. Cause like I heard this thing about like every time a writer season ends, like a bunch of the merch goes on sale, so that's the best time to get it. So,
Yeah, I mean, it really varies. I think as we're getting more domestic releases, especially, it's a good time to keep an eye on them. Stuff people tend to like clear stuff out in order to make room. So
yeah,
get on it while you
um,
can.
yeah. As for me, I didn't really buy anything, but I did watch the first half of Kamen Rider Kabuto. Oh my god, the show's so good. Why? Like I knew like Kabuto was one of the first writers I was exposed to, but I didn't really sit down and commit to it till now. Oh my god, the show's so like I love this. I'm really glad I watched it during the Geats week because then I could like make compare and contrasts
Sure.
between them. And it's like I love the main protagonist Tendo because while he is perfect, he isn't perfect. He's very socially like in himself. He's living in his own world, and that's really interesting. And he basically like everyone like even people he tries to help are like, what the hell? What are you doing? Like, bruh. And it's like. And that's a very fascinating dynamic for me because he does ultimately have good advice. He just like he says it in this way that it's like foreign to other people.
Yeah, he's like a proto Momoi Taro.
Yeah, very much so. And it's like he is probably the most fascinating like writer protagonist just based on personality alone. Like I haven't gotten to like I don't even know if he has like a meaty arc, but like we did get to Kagami and his debut as Gatacked in the first half, and like that was legit a really cool moment, especially because of how little they've been building to it with like Kagami's character throughout the show. It's yeah. And then, and I think what also helps in Kabuto is that Tendo's not the only eccentric one. Every, extra writer, The Bee, Drake, and now Sword are, over the top as hell in, the best ways. So, they all complement Tendo instead of, taking away from him, or Tendo takes away from them. They're very extra, especially Sword, who... I don't want to get into spoilers about Sword because I don't know how many people have watched Kabuto, but he is a very interesting character.
For a 15-year-old show, everybody cover your ears.
Yeah, well, it's a 50 episode. It's a commitment, you know? Yeah, and I know that everyone's watched Kabuto. Apparently, there's a joke about Kabuto's plot being indecipherable. Maybe that's, at the final episodes, but I don't know. Well, I'll see what I think. I'm gonna watch the second half next week, and I'll probably talk about it on Twitter and stuff.
That's
but
very
yeah,
awesome, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting, especially after coming off Hibiki, where it's Hibiki's very traditional and in its morals, but this is very much move out of the way, Grandpa. This is the new Kamen Rider, in a good way.
Says, he has not watched Kabuto, but he really wants to. Vac, I highly recommend the English dub of Kamen Rider Kabuto.
Oh yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes dubbed. And it was pretty funny. I watched the rest subbed just so I can get the actual experience, because I feel like actor, the way they deliver lines could be 1,000%. I want to review the show, so
I can throw it on in the background of video games.
No, it's fine. I do think it's a competent dub, just not a phenomenon.
Yeah, no, it's not great. I'm not here to defend the dub. But no, you can do it while you're doing other things.
Yeah, and it's very accessible, to people who just don't want to read subtitles. So if you want to watch Kamen Rider and you still have it for some reason, maybe try the Kabuto dub. Who knows?
Or more importantly, for accessibility, this is something that one of my kids that I babysit for raised when I was throwing on 01 the other night. A lot of children don't know how to read subtitles, and that's the core audience of these shows. So,
yeah,
seeing some dub.
Yeah, especially if we want to make Rider accessible to the West, why not make it accessible to the target demographic? I'm not asking for a Power Ranger style adaptation, just maybe an English dub or something to put on.
Right, it's on Tubi Kids, and yet the kids that I showed it to on Tubi didn't understand.
Yeah. It's a complicated thing, but that's a whole other discussion we can get into. Yeah. But for now, this week in Toku has ended. So Tim, this is basically your final episode for a while. How does it feel to be done with your trilogy?
It was solid. I would not trade the Revice marathon for anything.
You sure?
Maybe my memories of it.
Okay, yeah. Just for one last time for a while, where can people find you?
If you would like to see more of my content, I am Zaya Enterprise America on YouTube. I am officially the CEO at this point. We have a new video on how Kamen Rider is a Western. That's going to be part of an ongoing series, so be sure to stick around for that. I'm on Twitter at Adamatsu Janaito, and I am on Twitch at twitchtv.com/Kamen Rider Thouser if you'd like to come hang out on Saturdays.
Yeah, and I'm Buster Corp. I do videos on the internet? Oh yeah, that's the thing I do. I just did a full thoughts on Kamen Rider Revice, so if you missed all the episodes of me talking about it on this podcast, well, if you want my comprehensive thoughts, I have it on that channel. Also, just, yeah. And my voice is tired, so I'm going to try to wrap this up quick. Yeah, that's it for this week in Toku. Subscribe to Modular Media and all that. And, well, hopefully Vac will be better for next week in Toku.